Hey everyone. Ready to level up those problem-solving skills?
Always a good idea.
So we're diving deep into this Algocademy blog post today,
Cool.
all about asking the right questions.
Okay.
There's questions that you got to figure out before you even
Right.
think about writing a single line of code.
Yeah.
And what's so cool about this is that it's not just for coding.
Oh,
It
interesting.
applies to any field where you're, tackling challenges head on.
It really does. It's surprisingly relevant, I think, especially today.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say?
Oh,
I
absolutely.
mean, we're bombarded with information constantly,
Yeah.
and just figuring out what the real problem
Yeah.
is half the battle sometimes.
It's true, and Algocademy makes a really good point about this.
Oh.
They call it problem clarification.
Problem clarification.
And it's more than just a preliminary step.
Gotcha.
They list out some serious benefits,
Mhm.
avoiding those facepalm moments where you realize you built the wrong thing entirely.
Oh, yeah. Those are painful.
Those. I know.
But seriously, though, think of problem clarification
Yeah.
as a force multiplier
Okay.
for your effort.
I like that.
So you're putting in a little bit of time up front
Yeah.
to really define the problem,
Right.
but it pays off massively later.
Okay.
Fewer wasted hours,
Yeah.
fewer mistakes,
Yeah.
more efficient solutions.
Right.
You're essentially front-loading the thinking
Totally.
to make the doing much smoother.
Yeah. So true. And Algocademy, they weave this right into their teaching approach.
Interesting.
So they use problem clarification to help students
Okay.
build that foundation for algorithmic thinking.
Yeah, and it's about taking a problem that might seem overwhelming at first
Right.
and breaking it down
Yeah.
into these manageable chunks,
Okay.
figuring out the inputs,
Mhm.
the desired outputs,
Yeah.
and those tricky edge cases.
Right.
It's like planning a road trip.
Okay.
You don't just jump in the car and drive.
Right.
You map out the route, you
Yeah.
consider maybe some alternate paths,
Yeah.
and pack some snacks for the journey, right?
Oh, yeah. You got to have snacks.
Always got to have snacks.
Speaking of journeys, Algocademy also points out how crucial this skill is
Mm.
for those tough tech interviews,
Right.
especially at those big name companies we all hear about.
Yeah, if you're in an interview
Yeah.
and they throw a complex problem at you,
Oh, yeah.
like designing a system to handle 1 million users simultaneously,
Okay.
they're not just looking for the right code.
Right.
They want to see your thought process.
Mm-hmm.
So what type of users are we talking about here?
Yeah.
What are their usage patterns?
Okay.
Asking those clarifying questions
Yeah.
demonstrates that you're not just a code monkey. know.
Right.
You can think strategically,
Yeah.
which is gold in any field.
It's so true. It's about proving that you can see the bigger picture, right?
Yeah,
It's not just spitting out code, but understanding the problem's context and implications.
Mhm.
So how does Algocademy suggest we get better at this?
Well, they outline some really actionable strategies.
Okay.
And one that stands out is the classic 5W1H method.
The 5W and the H.
Who, what, when, where, why,
Yeah.
and how.
Okay.
It's a simple framework,
Yeah.
but it's powerful because it forces you to consider all angles.
It's like being a detective at a crime scene, right?
Oh, yeah.
You're gathering all the clues to build a complete picture.
Love it.
So let's say you're dealing with a website bug.
Okay.
Who reported it?
Yeah.
What exactly are they seeing?
Hmm.
When does it happen? Is it
Hmm.
tied to specific browsers or devices?
Interesting.
Why is this bug even a problem for users?
Good question.
How bad is the impact?
Yeah.
Asking those questions helps you go beyond the surface level, right?
Exactly. And once you've gathered all that intel,
Yeah.
it's time to restate the problem
Okay.
in your own words.
Okay.
And this is where you actively synthesize the information,
Right.
making sure everyone's on the same page,
Yeah.
and often revealing some hidden assumptions you might have missed.
That's a good point. It's almost like you're taking a jumbled pile of puzzle pieces
Oh, yeah.
and starting to fit them together.
That visual?
By restating the problem, you're creating a clearer image of what you're dealing with.
Totally.
And just like with puzzles, sometimes those big, complex problems,
Mm-hmm.
they can be intimidating.
They can be.
Right.
That's where the divide and conquer strategy comes in.
Okay, divide and conquer.
Algocademy uses this great analogy,
Yeah.
like organizing a huge event.
Okay.
You don't try to do everything at once.
Right.
You break it down into smaller, more manageable tasks.
Right.
Catering decorations, invitations.
Okay.
Each piece is easier to handle.
Yeah.
And together, they create the whole event.
That's a great way to look at it.
Right.
So if you're tackling a complex coding challenge,
Yeah.
you could break it down into smaller functions,
Okay.
each responsible for a specific part.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And Algo Academy also highlights the power of visual aids.
Oh, I love visual aids.
They can be total game changers
Absolutely.
when it comes to clarity.
Imagine trying to explain like a complicated process
Right.
without a flowchart.
Oh my
It
God.
would be like navigating a new city without a map.
Yeah, that's a good point.
A simple mind map can untangle messy ideas,
Okay.
and a flowchart can clarify a convoluted sequence of steps.
Makes sense.
Right. Visuals can really help us see the problem from a different perspective,
Yeah.
sometimes literally.
Right.
And the blog post even mentions using sketches for UI/UX problems.
Oh,
A
interesting.
quick sketch can communicate a design idea
Yeah.
way more effectively than like a lengthy written description.
Bro, it's like that saying, a picture's worth 1,000 words, right?
Exactly.
But okay, let's get back to those real-world coding scenarios that
Okay.
Algo Academy uses to illustrate these strategies.
Right.
They first tackle the challenge of optimizing a slow algorithm,
Oh, yeah.
something I'm sure many of you have faced before.
A classic problem.
So they start, as you might expect, with the 5W1H method.
Okay, makes sense.
They ask questions like, who is relying on this algorithm?
Right.
What are their performance expectations?
Mm-hmm.
When does the slowness become noticeable?
Right.
What kind of data triggers the issue?
Yeah.
Where is the bottleneck in the code?
Good question.
Why is the current performance unacceptable?
Right.
How can we measure improvements objectively?
They're not messing around.
Right. They really put that algorithm through the ringer.
Yeah, they do.
And what's interesting is how they then restate the problem.
Okay.
Algo Academy gives a specific example.
Okay.
We need to improve the efficiency of our current sorting algorithm to handle large data sets more quickly, aiming for a 50% reduction in processing time for data sets over 1 million elements.
Okay, so that's the goal.
Right. That's a clear target.
Yeah. But
Okay.
as you can imagine, that's still a pretty hefty problem.
Yeah, it is.
So how do they suggest breaking it down?
Well, they recommend starting with time complexity analysis.
Time complexity.
Okay. Understanding how processing time scales with data size.
Gotcha.
This helps pinpoint areas where even small changes can yield big gains.
Right.
They also talk about identifying bottlenecks,
Bottlenecks.
those parts of the code that are slowing things down the most.
Makes sense.
Then it's time to research alternative sorting algorithms.
Okay.
Because, hey, maybe there's a better tool for the job.
It's possible.
You know, and I actually had this happen to me once.
Oh, really?
I was working on this image processing algorithm,
Okay.
and it was taking ages to run.
Ugh, I hate when that happens.
I know, I tried tweaking various parameters, but like nothing helped significantly.
So what did you do?
Well, I finally decided to plot the processing time against the image size,
Okay.
and that's when it hit me.
What?
I was using the wrong algorithm entirely.
Oh, wow.
Once I switched to a more appropriate one, the speed up was incredible.
That's awesome.
It was a true aha moment.
It's amazing how a simple visualization can make such a difference.
It's like you suddenly have X-ray vision into your code's performance.
Right. But as you know, sometimes there's no single best solution.
True.
Right. Algo Academy mentions the trade-off between time and space complexity.
Time and space. Okay.
Think of it like this.
Okay.
Time complexity is how long it takes to cook a dish.
Okay.
And space complexity is how many pots and pans you dirty in the process.
I like that analogy.
So some algorithms are super fast,
Yeah.
but they use a lot of memory,
Okay.
while others are more memory efficient, but they take longer.
Makes sense.
It all depends on the specific needs of your project.
Exactly. And building on that idea of context-specific solutions.
Yeah.
The blog dives into another common challenge,
Okay.
implementing a brand new feature.
Oh, yeah. Feature development.
Again, they kick things off with that trusty 5W1H method.
Okay.
This time they ask questions like,
Yeah.
who requested this feature?
Right.
What exactly should it do?
Mm.
When is the deadline?
Okay.
Where will it fit into the overall application?
Right. Why is this feature needed?
Good questions.
How will users interact with it?
They are really gathering those requirements,
Oh, yeah.
trying to understand the feature's purpose.
Right. It's like welcoming a new guest to your home.
Oh, okay.
You want to get to know them a bit before offering them a room.
Right? I love that analogy.
Right.
And after thoroughly questioning the feature guest,
Yeah.
they come up with a clear problem statement,
Okay.
which in their example is, we need to implement a user authentication system that allows secure login via email and password, as well as through social media accounts, to be completed within the next sprint cycle.
Okay, so they know what they're building,
Right.
how it should function,
Yeah.
and when it needs to be ready.
It's all laid out.
But this is still a sizable task.
Yeah.
How do they suggest tackling it?
Well, they break it down, of course.
Break it down. Okay.
They start with the user interface,
Okay. UI first.
designing those login and registration pages for a smooth user experience.
Makes sense.
Then there's the back-end work,
Okay. The back end.
implementing the actual authentication methods,
Yeah.
handling email and password logins, integrating with those social media APIs.
Right. And security is paramount, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. They need to ensure user credentials are stored securely
Yeah.
and that the entire system is protected against vulnerabilities.
For sure.
And of course, there's session management,
Right.
making sure users stay logged in as they navigate the application.
It's a multifaceted challenge.
It really is.
It reminds me of building a house.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
the foundation, the walls, the roof,
Yeah.
the plumbing, the electrical.
Okay.
Each element is essential,
Right.
and they all need to work together seamlessly.
And in this case, you also want the house to be visually appealing
To us.
and easy to navigate.
Right.
That's where that balance between user experience and security considerations comes in.
It's a delicate dance.
It is.
You want a system that is secure, but not so cumbersome that it frustrates users.
Yeah.
Imagine like a bank vault with this super complicated lock.
Oh, gosh.
It might be incredibly secure,
Okay.
but if it takes like an hour to open, no one would use it.
That's a great point.
So Algo Academy has given us some solid strategies here.
They have.
But are there any common pitfalls we should be aware of?
Oh, yeah. I think we should explore those next. Okay, so let's talk about those pitfalls.
Yeah, those sneaky little traps.
You mentioned that even experienced developers can fall into these.
Oh, absolutely.
What are some of the biggest ones to watch out for?
Well, one of the most common mistakes is assuming too much.
Assuming too much.
It's so easy to jump to conclusions
Right.
without verifying the facts,
Yeah.
especially when you're under pressure to deliver quickly.
Oh, I've been there.
Haven't we all?
One time I just assumed our server could handle this sudden surge in traffic.
Oh, no.
And, well, let's just say it didn't end well.
I can imagine.
The whole thing crashed, and it was a scramble to get it back up and running.
Oof. That's a tough lesson.
That was a tough lesson in the importance of validating your assumptions.
It sounds like, did that experience kind of change how you approach infrastructure planning now?
Oh, definitely. I'm much more cautious now about making assumptions,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to system capacity.
Right.
I always try to gather data and run tests to back up any assumptions that I might have.
Yeah,
It's better to be safe than sorry.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And another pitfall that Algo Academy highlights is the temptation to rush to solutions.
Oh, yeah. We all want to be the hero.
Right. We want to solve problems quickly,
Right.
but sometimes we skip over that crucial step
Yeah.
of fully understanding the problem first.
It's like trying to build a house without a blueprint.
Exactly.
Right.
You might end up with a structure
Right.
that's not quite what you envisioned,
Yeah.
or worse, something that's not structurally sound.
Oh, no.
Taking the time to clarify the problem
Yeah.
is like laying a strong foundation for your solution.
It's true.
And while we're on the topic of foundations,
Okay.
the blog post also warns about ignoring constraints. Every project has limitations,
Right.
whether it's time budget or technical capabilities.
Yeah, you got to work within those boundaries.
It's crucial to be aware of these constraints from the outset
Right.
and factor them into your planning.
It's like trying to bake a cake without realizing you're out of flour.
Ooh, that's a good one.
You can have the best recipe in the world,
Right.
but if you don't have the right ingredients, it's not going to work.
Constraints are like those missing ingredients.
Yeah, they are.
And speaking of missing things,
Okay.
let's not forget about those pesky edge cases.
Edge cases, the what ifs.
Those are the unusual or extreme scenarios
Yeah.
that can really trip you up if you're not careful.
Oh, I know. Like when you're designing a website
Yeah.
and you forget to test how it looks on different screen sizes.
Oh, yeah.
Suddenly your beautiful layout is all jumbled up on a mobile phone.
Exactly. Edge cases are often overlooked,
Yeah, they are.
but they can have a significant impact on user experience.
Right.
It's about thinking beyond the happy path
Yeah.
and anticipating those unexpected situations.
So we've talked about assuming too much, rushing to solutions, ignoring constraints, and overlooking edge cases.
We have.
Are there any other pitfalls that Algo Academy mentions?
Yes. The last one they highlight is failing to prioritize.
Prioritize.
When you're faced with a complex problem,
Yeah,
it's easy to get bogged down in the details
Right.
and lose sight of the bigger picture.
it's so true.
It's like trying to clean your entire house at once.
Oh, yeah, spring cleaning.
You end up running around frantically,
Yeah,
not really accomplishing much.
right. It's better to focus on one room at a time.
Exactly. Pick the most important task and tackle that first.
Prioritization is key.
It really is.
So we've talked a lot about the theory of problem clarification.
I have.
But How can we actually integrate this into our daily work?
Well, Algo Academy offers some practical tips
Okay, good, because this is getting a little too theoretical for me.
that you can start using right away.
Okay, perfect.
One of the simplest is to always start with a problem statement.
A problem statement. Okay.
Before you write a single line of code,
Yeah.
take a moment to clearly articulate what you're trying to solve.
Write it down.
Writing a problem statement is like plotting your destination on a map
Okay.
before you set off on a journey.
Right.
It keeps you focused and prevents you from getting lost along the way.
Love it.
They also suggest using pseudocode,
Pseudocode. Okay.
which is a way to outline your solution in plain English
Okay.
before you get into the nitty-gritty of coding.
So you're not bogged down by the syntax.
Exactly. Pseudocode is a great way to break down complex problems into smaller steps.
Okay.
It helps you think through the logic of your solution
Right.
without getting bogged down in the syntax of a specific programming language.
That makes a lot of sense.
And then there's the classic rubber duck debugging technique.
Oh, yeah. Have you ever tried that?
Of course. It's amazing how simply explaining your problem out loud,
Yeah.
even to an inanimate object,
Right.
can help you see things more
Yeah.
clearly.
It's like having a built-in therapist for your code,
That's a great way to put it.
helping you work through those frustrating bugs.
I love it.
Algo Academy also recommends leveraging online coding platforms.
Oh, yeah. Those are great.
These platforms often present structured problems that force you to think carefully about problem clarification.
It's like having a personal trainer for your problem-solving skills,
Oh, I like that.
guiding you through exercises that strengthen your ability to define and approach challenges.
I'm going to start using that one.
And finally, they emphasize the value of code reviews.
Code reviews, yeah.
Having another developer review your code can help catch errors and inconsistencies that you might have missed.
It's like having a fresh set of eyes on your work, right?
Exactly, providing valuable feedback and insights that can
Yeah.
improve the quality of your code.
So by incorporating these practical tips into our daily routines,
Yeah,
we can make problem clarification a habit.
absolutely, and the benefits extend far beyond just writing better code.
Oh, really?
Algo Academy points out that strong problem clarification skills
Okay.
can boost your communication, improve your job prospects,
Wow.
and even accelerate your career growth.
That's amazing.
It's a valuable skill set that's applicable in many areas of life.
It's like a superpower.
It is.
It can unlock all sorts of doors.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into the power of asking the right questions,
Yeah, this has been really insightful.
what are some key takeaways for our listeners?
Yeah, what have we learned?
For me, the biggest takeaway is that problem clarification is not just a step in the coding process.
Right.
It's a fundamental skill for success in any field.
It's a life skill.
It really is. It's about thinking critically,
Yeah.
communicating clearly,
Mm,
and approaching challenges with a strategic mindset.
I love it.
It's about asking the right questions, even when they seem obvious,
Right.
and taking the time to really understand the problem
Yeah.
before jumping into solutions.
It's like having a mental toolkit, equipped with all the right tools to tackle any problem that comes your way.
That's a great way to put it.
So here's a final thought-provoking question for you, our listeners.
Okay, I like this.
What's one problem that you're currently facing, either in your work or your personal life?
Yeah.
How could you apply these principles of problem clarification
Right.
to approach it more effectively?
Remember, the journey of mastering problem solving is ongoing.
It is.
There's always more to learn, more to explore,
Right.
and more ways to sharpen our skills.
By embracing the power of asking the right questions,
Yeah,
we can unlock our full potential,
absolutely.
not just as coders, but as creative thinkers and problem solvers.
In all aspects of our lives.
So keep those questions coming.
Yes,
And keep diving deep into those challenging problems.
absolutely.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been fun.
Until next time, stay curious.